Hello and welcome to our 2026 Ireland road trip. Last year we visited Northern Ireland and absolutely loved it, although things did not go to plan. This year we're driving some of the wild Atlantic way, visiting the southern and western coast of Ireland. Not long into the trip I encounter a rural hold-up. I'm not delayed for long, and then it's on to Bridgewater to pick up Anna and Ben and rendezvous with some of the others. This trip started badly, even before we'd turned a wheel. Stena Ferries emailed the day before we were due to leave, telling us that our ferry from Fishguard to Rosslare was cancelled. A few frantic messages had confirmed that we were able to rebook for the same day departing from Holyhead. It departed 2 hours later than our original ferry and added about 3.5 hours to our journey. Still, we had the time to spare, and the drive to Holyhead was surprisingly relaxing. However, once we arrived at the port, things were about to get worse. The ferry was delayed by 45 minutes. Eventually we got underway, and thankfully it was a smooth crossing. About half an hour into the sailing, one member of our group went to get a slush puppy. 3 hours later we were nearing Dublin, but there was still no sign of him. Just in the nick of time, he reappeared after apparently falling asleep in the cinema. We are all glad when we dock in Dublin and are eager to get going, but Stena struck again. Due to a hydraulics failure, they were unable to lower the boarding ramps. We're stuck here until they fix it. An hour and a half later, we are finally able to disembark. It's 9:30 and we still have 2.5 hours of driving to do. This is going to be a long haul into the night. We were all very glad when we finally rolled into Waterford, 5 hours later than we originally planned, but we made it. It's been a very, very long day. I left home at 7:15 this morning. It's now just gone midnight and we've just arrived at a hotel. Thanks, Stena. We're just going to head down bar for a pint and then bed, and then hopefully tomorrow will be a easier day. Yes. Day 2 is overcast, with rain threatening. Before breakfast I take a quick stroll along the waterfront. Today we will meander along the coast, having a morning coffee stop and then spending some time exploring more of the Titanic story at Cove. Today, the ocean liners that sail into Cove are every bit as impressive as the ship that launched 1,000 dreams. There is just enough time before our tour for a quick drink at a local pub. Set within the original White Star Line ticket office, this exhibition tells the story of all 123 passengers who boarded the ship in Queenstown, as Cove was then known, on the final leg of Titanic's ill-fated journey in 1912. Inside there are pictures of the passengers and crew relaxing in Cove, and recreations of some of the Titanic's interiors. An excerpt from the Cork Examiner of 1912 says, "As one saw her steaming slowly, a majestic monster floating it seemed irresistibly into the harbour, a strange sense of might and power pervaded the scene." Departing Cove, we head for our overnight stop in Clonakilty. The rain eventually stops and we are treated to some wonderful sweeping roads hugging the coasts and estuaries. Clonakilty has put itself on the map by going the extra mile to include people on the autistic spectrum. As the country's first autism-friendly town, more than 200 of Clonakilty's businesses, schools and services have been accredited as autism-friendly champions, as was evident when we dropped in for a well-earned drink at Casey's Bar. Even though they're busy, turns out it was bingo night, they make us very welcome. On our way back to the hotel, we drop by DeBarras for a nightcap. The walls are covered in flutes, fiddles, pipes and saxophones. Unlike most rock bars, these instruments have a very real history. The Uilleann pipes, played by Tullamore Piper at the Chicago World Fair in 1893. To my mind, today is where the real island begins. The scenery and roads that are depicted in the tourist brochures. We will be following the wild Atlantic Way as much as possible. We partake in a bit of morning faffing before finally getting on our way. We drive through some colourful towns and villages and find some more scenic, occasionally empty coastal roads. First stop of the day is Mizen Head. Here, on Ireland's most southwesterly point, awe-inspiring ocean panoramas strike you at every turn. Mizen Head stretches out dramatically into the Atlantic Ocean amidst sea cliffs and crashing waves. The Mizen Head signal station has stood strong against the forces of nature for over 100 years. The station was built to warn ships at sea of the treacherous rocks that lie close to the shore here. But to get there, you must trek down the famous 99 steps and some of Ireland's most dramatic coastal paths. The high arched bridge connects the signal station to the mainland. At the signal station, we explore the station keeper's quarters, the engine room, the Marconi radio room. It's a clear day, and gazing westwards, we can just see the Fastnet lighthouse on the far horizon. Known as Ireland's teardrop, this famous and poignant landmark was the last sight that emigrating Irish people would see of their beloved island as they left for foreign shores. Back on the road, Anna finally gets to drive. The last time she drove the car in Northern Ireland, it broke down after 30 minutes and had to have the alternator fixed. This time, it performs faultlessly. We drive in convoy along wonderful roads with very varied scenery. passed one time where there seems to be some kind of market or fair taking place. The spectacular Healy Pass winds through a rugged, out-of-this-world landscape between two of the highest summits of the Kara mountain range. Along the way there is nearly 8 miles worth of hairpin bends in a rocky terrain and the odd Citroen Berlingo. All worth it for a spectacular scenery. The pass was created in 1847. Built during the Great Famine, the road was put in place to prevent starvation and was later named after Timothy Healy, who was the first Governor-General of the Irish Free State. The hooligans among us couldn't resist a bit of enthusiastic cornering. On the far side of the pass we stop for some photos. From here we get incredible views of Glanmore Lake and beyond. A great group photo, but Ben seems to have fallen into a hole. More spectacular scenery and winding roads as we head down the far side of the pass. As we get closer to Killarney, our home for the next 3 days, we come across a brave motorist out for a photo shoot. Or maybe they're afflicted by a bout of bad parking. A theme for this trip, as we will see. Kathleen's country house, where we will be staying for the next 3 nights. After booking in and exploring our accommodation, we head into Killarney for some food, and a Guinness of course. It is at this point we realise there is a big event taking place over the next couple of days. Apparently, and unknown to us, Killarney hosts the International Rally of the Lakes held over the May Bank Holiday weekend, and utilising the famous tarmac stages like Moll's Gap and the Ring of Kerry. The event is the jewel in the crown of Irish rallying. The Dingle Peninsula stretches 30 miles into the Atlantic Ocean on the southwest coast of Ireland. The peninsula is dominated by a range of mountains that form its spine, running from Slieve Mish Range to the Connor Pass and Mount Brandon, Ireland's second highest peak. The magnificent coastline consists of steep sea cliffs, dramatic headlands broken by sandy beaches, and the award-winning beach at Inch in the south. Inch Beach, a wild and windswept dune system, stretches along this amazing stand spit as it reaches out into Dingle Bay. It's also a beach you can drive on. This is what the Ring of Kerry website says about it. It is one of the few beaches where you can drive directly onto the sand. Just be careful where you park to avoid soft sand and keep an eye on the incoming tide. Advice that some would do well to follow as John and Yvonne head off further up the beach to do donuts, which ended well.
He's here. And the rocket back and forth. thing and the wheels were going down.
Oh,
I was
hang
like,
on.
oh shit.
I'm going, hang on. Sleehead Drive, one of Ireland's most scenic routes, takes you on a journey through historic sites, Irish-speaking villages, famous Hollywood film locations, with close-up views of the world-renowned Blasket Islands. Again, the tourist website says, travellers are strongly advised to travel clockwise. Part of the Sleehead Road is very narrow and single lane only. Breathe in. Set just to the south of Dunmore Head, the westernmost point in mainland Ireland, and in fact Europe, is Cumminall Beach. There are a few more dramatic locations than this, with the headland rising up to one side. It's also home to the mysterious disappearing stream. And a good spot for relaxing. On the most western point of the Dingle Peninsula are the Blasket Islands. This stunning archipelago of islands are renowned for their magnificent beauty and rugged wilderness. We stop off at the Blasket Island Visitors Centre. It is at this time that one of our group has a mild bout of bad parking. The story of the Blasket Islands and its people are presented at the centre. It also has a very pleasant and scenic cafe. People are recorded to have been living on the Blasket Islands in 1597, but the population ebbed and flowed. About 150 people lived there in 1840, but after the Great Famine that had decreased to 100. The population is said to have reached a peak of 176 in 1916. Sadly, the once vibrant Blasket Island community declined as a result of the persistent emigration of its young people, until eventually the island was abandoned in 1953, when only 22 inhabitants remained. After lunch, we get back on the road and head for the Connor Pass. The Connor Pass is one of the highest mountain passes in Ireland and provides the most dramatic and scenic way of crossing from north to south coast of the Dingle Peninsula. The views from the road are breathtaking, with a glaciated landscape of mountains, corrie lakes and broad sweeping valleys spread out below. At the top we stop to admire the view and for Steve to clear his engine light with the help of a handy OBD reader. There are some very narrow sections where two cars cannot pass, so drivers need to keep their eyes peeled when driving and be ready to stop at the wider sections. Vehicles over 2 tonne in weight are prohibited from using the Connor Pass, so that rules out most SUVs. Hooray! This goes on for a bit, so let's hurry things along. A great day's driving and sightseeing. It's good to be back in base for an evening relaxing and a few more Guinnesses. Day 5. Today we plan to drive the Ring of Kerry, but since the rally has closed the road on the east side of the ring, we've decided to drive the west side and do a half Ring of Kerry. It does mean we get to go on another ferry. Our morning coffee stop is at Ross Bear Stand. It's a good spot for looking at stones and trying on someone else's glasses. The road from the beach is a challenging single track that winds its way up the hillside. It even has some grass down the middle, just to remind us of home. We join the main road and make our way to the ferry. The ferry to Valencia Island takes 5 minutes to cross the short stretch of water. There is also a bridge which we will use later, but arriving by ferry just seems a bit more special. Even the loading ramps work, and we make the journey without incident. Stella line, take note. The island is steeped in history, ranging from prehistoric fossil discoveries and ancient mythology to a pivotal role in the birth of global telecommunications. Irish mythology links Valencia Island to Mug Ruth, a powerful mythical blind druid who supposedly resided on the island. The Fitzgerald family, Knights of Kerry, were the principal landlords and developers of the area, establishing the refined Anglo-Irish village of Knightstown in the 19th century. Valencia Lighthouse, located at Cromwell Point on Valencia Island, first shone its light on the 1st of February 1841. Built on the site of the 17th century military fort, it was designed to guide vessels into Valencia harbour. Originally staffed by a single keeper and later a family residing in the adjacent 1910 dwelling house, the station was automated in 1947. Today it is maintained by the Commissioners of Irish Lights. The former keepers' quarters have been transformed into an interpretive museum. Valencia is most famously known as the eastern terminus for the first commercially viable transatlantic telegraph cable. A successful cable was finally laid in July 1866, stretching all the way to Newfoundland. This connected Europe and the Americas in minutes rather than weeks and operated for 100 years. Next stop is the tetrapod tracks. Steve and Chris decide to get very friendly in the car park, but at least Chris parked properly, because it was at this point that a member of our group had serious bout of bad parking. Luckily, no one was inconvenienced. The island contains some of the earliest fossilised footprints in the world, dating back to the Devonian period, roughly 350 to 370 million years ago, predating dinosaurs. These tracks represent one of the very first vertebrate creatures to walk on land. From this recreation, tetrapods seem to be very happy creatures. A little underwhelmed, we set off for our lunch stop. Crossing the bridge, we leave the island and head for Waterville. En route, we negotiate Cuban's Pig Pass. This stunning mountain pass is an official Wild Atlantic Way discovery point on the Skellig Ring. Sitting at roughly 248 metres above sea level, it features some of the highest and most visually spectacular coastal roads in Ireland. views from the top are breathtaking, quite literally. We stopped for lunch at Dooley's in Waterville. The food is very good, and the views across the bay aren't bad either. The legendary actor Charlie Chaplin and his family holidayed in Waterville for over a decade, beginning in 1959. Because of the rally, we aren't able to carry on around the Ring of Kerry, so we retrace our route back to Killarney. A short shower means we have to pull over, so those with convertibles can put their roofs up, or, in one case, on. We arrived just in time to watch the Canadian Grand Prix. Thanks, Chris, for providing the technology. During the evening, I put forward the idea of getting up early and driving the Gap of Dunloe before breakfast. The idea seems to go down like a lead balloon. So at 6:30 the following morning, it was a pleasant surprise to see 4 cars head out in convoy for the drive. Notably, they were the 4 Porsches. The Gap of Dunloe is a spectacular glacial mountain pass, carved 25,000 years ago between the McGillicuddy Creeks and Purple Mountain. It features steep cliffs and 5 interconnected lakes. The 11-kilometre route is a renowned destination for hikers, cyclists and those taking traditional horse-drawn carts. The pass contains 5 distinct lakes, all connected by the River Lone, with the dark brooding clouds hanging from the mountain tops. It is pretty magical. This ancient arched bridge is a focal point of local folklore. Guides have long claimed that any wish made while on the bridge is destined to come true. Steve stops so we can take his picture. The valley is a classic glacial breach, carved during the island's last ice age. Glaciers from the Black Valley broke through the head of the gap and scored a deep, dramatic U-shaped pass. It's time to leave Killarney. I'm really glad we spent 3 nights here. It gave us time to really explore this beautiful part of Ireland. Maybe we'll come back when there isn't a major rally on. Today it's a short drive to Cork on some very different roads to the ones we started the day on. We drop our cars off and head off to explore. First stop, as ever, is for coffee, although I think Steve and David have visited the vape shop. Cork, Ireland's second largest city, originated as a 6th century monastic settlement founded by St Finbar. It evolved into a major Viking trading port on the River Lee. Known as the Rebel County, it has a long history of anti-colonial resistance culminating in the 1920 burning of the city by British forces. Rebuilt from the ashes, modern Cork has grown from its industrial roots into a tech and pharmaceutical hub while maintaining its rich culture. Elizabeth Fort as an early 17th century star-shaped fortification.
This can only go wrong. Gently with that.
Got my head in.
Gently with that. No, 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 ow, ow. Let's go. It's his face that's
You want to take your lens cap off?
It's his face that's the worrying bit.
What's the water called, Steve? Oh, hello.
The fort overlooks the heart of Cork City. Elizabeth Fort has been in continuous and varied use for over 400 years, including use as a military barracks, a convict depot for the transportation of women prisoners, a food depot during the Great Famine, a Royal Irish Constabulary station, and a Garda station until 2013. Today, Elizabeth Fort is free to visit and offers a unique opportunity to step into Ireland's layered past. Through the power of Google, Chris takes us to a pub just outside the centre, and we finish our day in Cork with a few pints and some great live Irish music. Our last full day in Ireland. We're making our way to Wexford tonight. Close to Rosslare, we hope to catch a ferry tomorrow morning if Stena haven't cancelled it. During our morning coffee stop, 7 days of drinking Guinness is beginning to show. Maybe we need more coffee. I hope they're all safe to drive. On our route, we stop off at Waterford, the place where we spent our first night in Ireland. Waterford crystal traces its origins back to 1783, when brothers George and William Penrose founded a glass factory in the Irish port city of Waterford. The creation of each piece begins in the mould room. Master craftsmen hand-carve highly specific wooden moulds, primarily using pear wood, which are carefully soaked in water before use. Skilled master blowers take molten crystal, melted in a 1400 degrees centigrade furnace, and gather a glowing ball onto the end of the blowpipe. They rotate and blow into the pipe, shaping the crystal inside the damp wooden mould until it forms the desired shape. Master craftsmen temporarily mark a geometric grid onto the crystal surface with markers, using techniques and patterns committed to memory through years of intense training. This grid guides them during the cutting stage. Master cutters press the crystal against heavy rotating abrasive wheels to carve intricate designs into the glass. This process, requiring a minimum of 8 years of training, transforms the smooth form into a brilliant light reflecting piece. For some pieces a machine is used. The cut crystal is then acid polished to a brilliant shine and inspected against 6 stringent quality standards. Larger objects are made from several pieces and glued together, such as this Christmas tree. As we leave Waterford, we drive past Dooley's Hotel where we spent our first night, and then on to Wexford. Today is Steve's birthday. He tucks into a Colin the Caterpillar cake. The hotel has even laid on some dancing. It's a beautiful sunny morning and sadly time to leave Ireland. There are 2 ferries at the port. We assume we'll go on the slightly smaller, wonkier one on the right. But no, they've actually hidden our ferry around the corner, probably too embarrassed to let us see it. The corrugated boarding ramp was a bit uncomfortable to drive up. Our cars are parked on the deck. It makes for a good photo, but will mean we'll have to clean the salt off when we get home. Time for a healthy breakfast. Cruise ship moored just off the coast at Fishguard. Maybe Elon Musk is visiting Wales in his private yacht. Well, we make it home without mishap. The ferry ran on time and we were able to get off when we docked. Been another fantastic trip. The scenery and the Irish hospitality have been brilliant. On the whole, the weather has been kind to us. There were many unforgettable moments. The highlights for me were the Healy Pass, Inch Beach and the whole of the Dingle Peninsula, the remote and beautiful Blasket Islands, but most of all, the dark and brooding Gap of Dunlow at 6:30 in the morning. I think we need to come back to complete the Ring of Kerry and to explore what else Ireland has to offer.